Welcome back to the URBiz Photocast by Zamm. I'm Dallas Mitchell with you every week discussing business, photography, and the business of photography. Stop thinking like a photographer and start thinking like a business person. That's what we always say. You can find us online at zamm.ca. That's zamm.ca on the iTunes and other podcast portals. And catch us on Stitcher at stitcher.com or click through our website. All right, this week we are talking about the need for a website. I see a lot of photographers with just a Facebook page, like a fan page. And this is not a good idea. There's so many disadvantages to this. It's really to your advantage to have your own domain and website. Your own website allows you to control your online presence, and you should really use your social networks as a touch point and as a broadcast tool. With your own website, you can control your message, control your presentation, and you can be linking back to your site. It's just a better online presence. People use social media in different ways. Not everyone is on Facebook, so you're eliminating essentially 20% of the population who don't use Facebook. And the ones who do may not be using it in a way in which they're going to see you on Facebook. So if Facebook is your only online presence, you're really at a disadvantage. A lot of people don't use Facebook the way you're going to need them to use Facebook, if they're even on Facebook at all. And it's not a very good presentation. You can't show a gallery. You can't get across a lot of consistent messaging. So it's always that running the running message that on your wall. And there's a place for it in your marketing mix, but as your main online presence, this is not a good idea. You're much better controlling your online presence with your own website, where you can have a blog. Even if you don't want a blog, you still have all your information, and you're in control of that. And that's going to be one of your main touch points with people, is your website, where you can send them. If you're sending them a business card with a Facebook address, it's not going to make you look too good. And what if Facebook goes away? MySpace went away overnight. Seemingly overnight. I mean, Facebook just took off. Also, as social media gets more and more fragmented, you're going to see a lot more diversification. Already we're seeing it. There's a lot of people who don't use Facebook all that often. They don't use it regularly. They're going to Pinterest. They're using Twitter. They're using all their social media in different ways, and they're not on every social network. And you can't be found online through search if you just have a Facebook page. You have no SEO. And this is a lot of business you're going to be missing, and you can't define your own online presence, your own online footprint. And today, websites are easy to put up. There's really no excuse in 2014 not to have a website. You can go to shared hosting, which is less than $5 a month. You can go to HostPapa. If you're going to go to HostPapa, link through on our site. They show us some love if we send them referrals. But these types of services, your HostPapas, your GoDaddys, your HostGators, there's all shared sites. They're cheap. They're less than $5 a month. They have easy-to-use tools and lots of useful web components to install, such as like business directories or WordPress and Joomla. And there's a tool with the user interfaces that makes all this stuff easy to install, or you don't have to use any coding. And there's really no excuse not to have a good looking website nowadays. If you're going to have a website, or when you do have your website, you should be really looking at a CMS, content management system. These are your two big ones are going to be WordPress and Joomla. WordPress being the big one. WordPress is kind of, people still think of it as just a blogging tool. It's not. It's a full, all-out CMS, content management system, and you make entire websites with it now. It's not just for blogs. In fact, you don't even need to blog when you're using WordPress or Joomla. You can use them just as your main site. And they come out of the box relatively good for SEO, particularly WordPress does. I mean, it's the king of SEO right out of the box. And both Joomla and WordPress have extensions and plugins, which you can have a lot of online capabilities and do a lot of stuff with your website. And it's easy. You don't have to know any code. If you do know code, the PHP and the CSS is always available to you to customize your site, but you can use these right out of the box and just use the interface. If you know how to use Word, Microsoft Word, you're going to be fairly good with these tools. And WordPress and Joomla have big online communities and a lot of support. There's a bit of a learning curve, not much, to get using these. Once you install it, you log into your back end, you make your pages, you can do your blog, your posts, you pick your templates. Everything's easy to use. We'll do future shows on both Joomla and WordPress. And these are really good for SEO, and they have nicer looks. They're really secure, and you really should be using a good CMS. WordPress. For photographers, you probably don't have to go with Joomla. Joomla is really good for big, bulky sites with a lot of sections. WordPress is going to be good for most photographers, and WordPress is better out of the box for SEO. And there's different types of hosting. You can get dedicated and VPS. They're a little bit different. Dedicated is when you are either hosting it on your own server, or you can go to dedicated service providers and rent space from them on a dedicated server. This is your most expensive option, but there's some advantages. The servers are really fast, so it's better for SEO. They're also most secure, and often you're buying from a local company. So that geography actually helps us search when your service, particularly photographers, portrait and wedding particularly, but even commercial photographers, if you're just targeting an area, it really helps with search when your server's located in the area in which you're servicing. On the downside, they're more expensive. This is your most expensive option. And they don't have user-friendly interfaces. So you're going to have to know how to do some things on your own. You can still get dedicated or VPS and put in a WordPress site. They're easy to use. WordPress is easy to install. And there's tons of information online how to do that. And WordPress used to have their big marketing push was the 5-minute install. They're pretty easy to use still if you're going to be using a CMS. So they don't have as easy to use of an interface as your shared hosting does, which can limit your ability to put in useful features such as message boards, directories, and so forth. So you really have to make a decision on what's most important to you, whether that better SEO, like the faster site, and the more secure is the way to go. You can also go with shared hosting, as I mentioned before. This is the most popular. It's the least expensive, under $5 a month usually, and it's easy to use. The interface usually has a panel which will install all the features for you. You just have to fill in some fields for names and stuff. They are less secure because it's shared hosting. You're sharing servers with people, and you're sharing the resources. And these companies such as GoDaddy, HostPapa, HostGator, they're big targets for hackers. So sometimes, once in a while, it happens, not often, but it happens where some of their servers are compromised. So they are a little bit less secure. And they're a little bit slower, so they're not quite as good for SEO. But they are less expensive, and you do get a little bit more capabilities if you're not too good at installing stuff onto a Linux server. If you're pretty novice at all that stuff, then the shared hosting is probably the way to go. You also have site building options such as Wix, Squarespace, WordPress.com, WordPress. The self-hosting is WordPress.org. That's what it's referred to because that's where you download it if you were to download it and install it manually. But WordPress.com is kind of like Blogger, where you sign up and you use it for free. You can also they also have a paid service. What these site building sites do is they offer a one-stop shop. They're pretty secure, and they have a lot more support. You're going to have a lot less problems with security. You're going to have a lot less problems with any type of hacking, any type of maintenance problems. Updates are usually done for you, and it's a hands-off type thing. It's bad if they change the level of their service, their pricing. Also, you need to use their interface. If they start changing that and changing what they do, you can see a lot of problems, and they just don't offer as much control. And they're not quite as good for SEO. So you're probably better off going with dedicated or VPS or shared hosting. But the site builders, they do offer you some capabilities that the others don't. They offer you a level of security that and a level of hands-offness. Site builders are really good if you're going to be doing a lot of e-commerce. Then you don't have to worry about the payment portals and stuff. All that can be handled for you. Usually link a main site to those portals. But we can talk about that later. So basically, in 2014, you really should have a site. They're easy to use, and you should have them looking good. If you're using a good CMS, if you're using WordPress, your site's going to look good. It's not going to look like 2003, like it was made in front page. You just can't be using tables anymore. And the CMSs, they're also easy to use. That's the thing about them, is that they have a nice user-friendly interface on the back end and allows you to get content up. And then for your hosting, you have to make a decision on your priorities. Do you want the little bit better SEO with the dedicated, or do you want to go shared, save money, and get some extra capabilities, or you go with a site builder and have hands off and use their site building software? And that's just your own priorities. But the point is, get a website and then link to your social media from there, and have your social media linking back to you. Social media is a touch point. It should not be your main focus, should not be your main web presence. Your website really should be your main web presence, and where you spend a lot more of your time and a lot more of your energy. And that's where you should be sending people to. And we're calling that a show. If you like it, share it online, on social media, or tell a friend. Be sharing something that's useful, and that's what it's all about. If you have any questions or something to share about your business, hit us online at zamm.ca, zamm.ca. Production music courtesy of incomptech.com. Links to them are in the show notes. Until next week, we'll see you on the flip side.